Hey there, vlog. I'm Eric Normand, and I'm just talking about my business and what I've been up to. So, let's think. Right now, I am just getting home from dropping my daughter off at school. Got changed into normal clothes instead of biking clothes because I bike to school. And I've been really thinking about doing a podcast and an interview show, something like that. There aren't enough closure podcasts. Maybe it would be more like functional programming podcast, but not from a super technical point of view. It wouldn't be a news show. It would be more about the fundamental concepts and the computer science, the showing how functional programming applies. And then the interview show, I'm thinking of it like a video show, but maybe it would be better just as audio. But that one would be interviewing employers, because a lot of people don't believe that there are closure jobs out there, and they don't know how to get them. So it would be about the employers and what they're looking for, how to contact them, and hang on a second. Is that lighting better? Yeah, I think it's just a little better. All right. Yeah, so I've been thinking about that, but of course, it's just thinking, and actually putting that together can take some time. The podcast is actually a lot easier because I already have the equipment. It's just a matter of getting a service to host the files and the what's it called? The RSS feed, stuff like that. And I'm really not ready yet. I'm not feeling it. I don't know what it should be about yet. But I have also been thinking that it's good to practice just making it, even if you don't know what it's going to be, because it'll be what it'll be anyway, and it'll turn into something good. And you'll just be in the routine of producing it and promoting it, so that when you do figure out what it needs to be from all the feedback you're getting, then you're already doing it. You just have to pivot a little. So I just don't know when I would do it right now. And it doesn't seem like such a big priority. It's kind of a long-term play to start a new thing, a new podcast. And everyone's been telling me I should do a podcast anyway. Last year I did a couple of interviews with people. I interviewed Kim from Cognitect, who's one of their recruiters, and that was a good conversation. We actually had to do it twice because one time it didn't take. The Skype connection was bad, and it was just hard to understand each other, and unfortunately, I think that take was actually better than the one we finally did. But, I also talked with someone at a recruiting firm that recruiting firm is specifically going after functional programming jobs. And they work with companies to find people. So those were my two interviews. And, I think two is not really enough to do the subject justice or to see whether people actually want to watch it. They need 100 before they really start to say, wow, there might be something there, or they start asking, hey, where'd you go, where's your last episode, which of course I would need to get there. Okay, so that's just my thoughts on that. I'm not ready to do it. I feel overloaded with this conference, and I don't want the conference to suffer because I'm trying to do something totally new at the same time. I already feel like I'm not producing enough Clojure learning material as it is. One thing about that that I've got on my mind is I want my site to be the most comprehensive source for Clojure training materials. And I mean, I bet it is already. Maybe not as complete as the Clojure.org site that has, all of the documentation for all the Clojure functions, and then a bunch of kind of rationale things, because they just cover a lot more, so they can claim to be comprehensive, is what I'm saying. But I think I'm well on the way to competing with them on that. Not that I want to compete for competition's sake, but I would. It would be nice, business wise, and also helpful for people if people just turn to my site and have one stop and everything works. One complaint about Clojure is the lack of documentation, and it seems to me that how do I put this? The Clojure core team is not a priority for them. Their priorities are also important. There's stuff like making sure Clojure has a good long-term strategy, that code in Clojure doesn't break, that all these things about that the documentation that is there is up to date and accurate. Those are really important goals, and the complaints are usually around from my estimation of what people complain about, it's that it's a lack of learning materials. It's not reference documentation. It is a lack. They're used to two things. They're coming from a different language, a different paradigm, where they already understand what's going on. So they need to be led in to the topic a little bit more than they're used to. And so they, when they rank things in the survey, lack of documentation is like the closest thing to that. So they put that up at the top. And then, I can't remember the other thing. Sorry. I'm kind of groggy this morning. Let me have some coffee. So I don't blame Cognitect at all for the lack of documentation. Oh, right. The other thing I was going to say, thank you, coffee break, was that they might be used to a bigger community where a lot of these documentation issues were already handled by the community. So, they can type in Google, how do I do XYZ? And someone had the same problem as them 6 months ago, a year ago, wrote it up, and they can just follow along. And those two things combined, the size of the community and the familiarity, that they don't need that on-ramp, just as an example, like someone coming from Ruby might not understand the intricacies of lazy evaluation and the implications so when you mention lazy evaluation in your documentation, it's like, is this document written for me, right? I don't understand why you're bringing this topic up, what it means. And so, they have to go read about lazy evaluation. Where is that? There's no link to it. It might be true that documentation was not written for them, and so they just look at it as a lack of documentation. Whereas a lot of languages have community generated, because they're bigger. The community is bigger. There are more people who are more, they like to write and they like to explore a new thing and then present it to other people as a document, a tutorial, something like that. And we just don't have that. Our community is not big enough to expect that kind of organically generated documentation. And it's all valid complaints as well. It's to me it's kind of a chicken and egg problem. How do we get people into the language so that they can write the documentation when there's no documentation to bring them in? So, it's hard. It's a hard problem. Okay. So anyway, I digressed on that. Clojure Sync. I thought of something else this morning that I want to do. I wouldn't say I'm in last minute preparations, but it's maybe more like I have about a month to make any kind of polishing or finishing touches. It's not last minute, because there's still time to plan and everything. So I'm in this finishing touch stage, and I thought, I really want to make this work so that I want it to be a great experience for the people who are coming. It'd be a shame if I was focused on people, like trying to get more people to come and then forgot about the people who are coming. So I am going to draft up an email to see if what they're expecting, really. That's basically it. Like, is there anything that you're having trouble with? Why did you come? Can I help enhance that? And so, that's kind of the craft of making this email that's like, everything's already okay. Like, don't worry, there's no problems. But if there's something special that you would like to do, I'll see what I can do, right? I'm not making any promises. I just want to understand them better. And that understanding will lead to those final touches being a little bit more polished. And polished and geared toward them making their experience better. It's all this idea that I really believe in, of being very customer focused, being very people focused. Like, what are they actually coming to the conference for? As cool as it is, they had to take time out of their lives, spend money, take vacation time or whatever they had to do to come, find babysitters, put a burden on their significant other, whatever they're doing. They did it, and they're coming. And, was this to further their career, right? Was it just to be part of the conversation? What is it? And so I could guess, and there's, I could make 100 guesses, and maybe one of them's right, but I can't do all 100. I would rather do the one that they want. So I'm going to ask. There. That's what I'm going to do right after this vlog. I do want to talk about something that happened yesterday. So I promised everyone who is a current member of purelyfunctional.tv, that means they pay for a subscription. I promised that I would offer them a 30-minute phone call coaching session where we develop a personalized learning plan for them. And so last night, I was like, or yesterday afternoon, I was like, I'm going to get this email out. So debating different options, how to do it. I could use Drip, which is the thing that sends email out that I use. But then I thought, well, there are people who aren't in Drip, right, that are subscribed. And I want it, I mean, maybe that was the wrong decision now that I think about it. Like, because you can unsubscribe, right? You sign up, you start getting the newsletter and say, I don't want this, right? So you can unsubscribe to my emails. But then when you unsubscribe from that, you're unsubscribed from everything. So even this kind of promotional email where it's like a free thing I'm giving you, if you want it, you won't get. So I thought, well, I want to send it to everyone who is a current subscriber, regardless of how their Drip is, their Drip account is set up. So I found a plugin for WordPress that will send an email. Of course, it doesn't just send an email. It does a whole bunch of other things. The settings didn't seem to do the thing they claim to do. It's that kind of software where you're like, oh, look at all these settings. And then you click it and then you do a test and it doesn't do the thing. It's weird stuff. So I finally got it to where I thought, okay, this is going to work now. And I tested it and everything. And then I selected all the people to send the email to and I sent it out. And I don't know if it actually went out. I don't know if it went out to everybody. See, this is why we pay for software services like Drip. Like, it tells you it was sent by this many people, and this many people opened it, and then this many people clicked. So I'm kind of regretting doing this WordPress plugin thing. I thought, and I spent a lot of time getting it set up and testing it to make sure it looked right. And now I'm probably just going to turn it off. And so I'm going to ask some people on Slack that I have good relationship with, whether they got an email to know whether it actually worked. And so that'll be fun. I might have to send out a second one and apologize. That happens. I tend to look at apologies as a way of humanizing me, right? Because I send this email out and it was a mistake. Like, people don't think, oh, this is just some corporate company that has no face and they're just trying to sell me stuff. No, it's me. I'm sorry. I regret it. I made a mistake. Tell me if I can make it up to you if there was some problem. But it's just one extra email if you got two. Yeah, this has been going on a long time, over 18 minutes now. So I am going to sign off here. Please put your comments in, some questions I'd love to answer. Subscribe, share with your friends, replay it, watch it during your sleep to get some kind of osmosis going. Whatever you need to do it. All right. Thank you very much.